Alright, here we go. This is short review number 9. And today I'm reviewing albums number 419 through 410 on the Rolling Stones 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list. Let's get started. Number 419 is Dummy by Portishead. Portishead is an English, or was an English band from England. It's electronic music. They use a lot of samples, and Beth Gibbons, who is the primary vocalist, has some extraordinary singing on this album. Really amazing. This album is very stark. I'm not sure how to describe it. It is a musical experience unlike almost any other that I've ever heard. The best word that I could use to describe the sound of this, or the feeling of this album, is monochromatic. It's a single entity that unwaveringly continues through the course of the album. A very easy and surprising 4. You've got to check this out. Number 418 is Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run. It showcases McCartney's unique and masterful songwriting ability. He likes to change moods in interesting ways. I would say the good songs are great, and the songs that aren't great are just okay. But overall, it's a very solid output of songs. Especially the title track, I thought was really good. If the rest of the album had been as good as that title track, it would have been a 4. I'm gonna give this one a 3. And I guess we're jumping now. Go, go, go. Okay, I'm now my feet are wet.
My shoes are wet.
My shoes are wet. Do I need shoes just like you? Number 417 is Mule Variations by Tom Waits. Almost in the same sense that the Portishead was a monochromatic work, this album also has a very distinguished and distinguishable sound. It's got the raw feeling of like Jack White's solo stuff, found music, found instruments, just making music without extra processing, without the computers, pouring out pure emotion using music. It's a cross between blues, garage rock, sort of swampy, sweaty, stench-drenched. The music itself and the songs are for the most part pretty dark. It is a pretty amazing listen. Easily one of the best albums I've heard yet on this adventure. I'm gonna give it a 4. If I had a 5 to give it, I would give it a 5. 415 is Van Halen's self-titled debut album. So this is the first record on this list that I've actually heard before. It is inarguably a rock and hard rock classic. Every song is just incredible. There's absolutely no fat. There's no wasted time. There's no wasted notes. Eddie Van Halen redefined what was possible on the electric guitar. He opened up a new way of playing it, a new way of using it both as a lead instrument and as a rhythm instrument. For all those reasons, this is one of the easiest ratings I've had so far. This is very, very clearly and without any argument a 4. Album 415 is Beauty and the Beat by the GoGos. This is an awesome album. I tend to not enjoy new wave or early to mid 80s music that has that aesthetic. Something about it turns me off. This album though is well performed. The songs are catchy and fun to listen to. I have to be honest, I tried to find something to not like about this album as I listened to it. I was waiting for something that would come along and be like, oh yeah, that's it, that's gonna drop it for me. But there was nothing. I just enjoyed it more and more the more I listened to it. It was pretty darn good, and I am flabbergasted to say that it's a 4 for me. It was great. I'd listen to it again, which is crazy. Well, we just got back from church and he fell asleep, so I'm going to let him nap for a little while I finish my reviews. So yesterday I realized that I did several things wrong. One of them was I skipped 417. So I'm just going to start on that and then we'll return to where we were. So 417 is Boy by U2. I don't know, to me I feel like I hear a bit of an unfinished quality, like they don't really know who they are or what their sound is yet. Now that may not be true. That's just the impression that I got as I listened to it. They bring some interesting elements to the music scene at the time. Not a terrible album by any means. I personally wouldn't call it great, but I will give it a 2. Okay, now we're jumping back to number 413, which is a punk album by a band called Minutemen. This is Double Nickels on the Dime. Now last week when I told Jessica that I had a couple punk albums near the end of this group of 10, she asked me what I thought about punk. I understand like the point of punk, the idea, of that if you can grab a pair of sticks and a guitar and turn on an amplifier and you have anything to say, then you should be allowed to play music. Anti-elitist, basically. That's how I understand punk to be. It pushes back against the notion that you have to be a virtuoso, to play music. And punk says, no, you don't. If you have passion and you have an instrument and you want to play, then you should be allowed to play. So I get that and I agree with it. Unfortunately, what this tends to lead to is not terribly good music. Anybody can play guitar, yes, but not anybody can play guitar well. And for me, a lot of punk music is mediocre, amateur, because that's the quality of the people who are making it, which is awesome, but I wouldn't call that great. After that long digression, this album is pretty good. It has punk elements. It's a trio, I believe. It also has some sort of early rock funk things going on, which I really liked. And the songs are short. There's 43 of them on this album, but the whole thing I think is less than 50 minutes long because the songs are super short. They don't take themselves seriously, but they don't do it in a kitschy way. These guys just do it in a way that makes you think they're having a great time playing music they like to play and enjoying it. You can really feel that in the music. So with all that, I'm surprised and happy to give this a 3. Now number 412 is a different punk story. So this is a band called Wire, the album Pink Flag. And this is the opposite. This album sort of represents what I don't like about punk. Bland playing, uninspired lyrics, obnoxiously rendered. I didn't enjoy a single part of this, if I'm honest. And I have to be honest. Can't not be honest. I didn't enjoy any of this. To me, it felt like amateur music by amateur musicians. And that's where I am. I'm going to give this a 1.5. Number 411 is 461 Ocean Boulevard by Eric Clapton. This is a fantastic rock album. It's got a lot of blues influences. The playing is great. The album sounds good, even almost 60 years later. It sounds really good. It's fun to listen to, and it has depth as well as being pretty immediately accessible. Both of those things, for me, have to be included on something that I would call a great album. And this has it. So I'm going to give this a 4. And very last on this group of 10 is number 410. This is Time Out of Mind by Bob Dylan. First contribution by Bob Dylan on this list of 500 albums. I love when there's a ton of hype about an artist or an album and you listen to the music and it's not overhyped or it lives up to the hype, and it really is as great as they say. Unfortunately for me, this album neither exceeded nor lived up to the hype of Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, I appreciate, has a very distinct singing voice, which certainly sets him apart from most of, anybody else. You can immediately tell that it's him singing when he starts. So I'll give that to him. It doesn't make it pleasant to listen to, which is to say I don't think he has a particularly good singing voice. Now, I'd be willing to get over the quality of his singing if the songs were inspired, but these are all right songs. Not particularly great. Passable songwriting, not stellar, and merely all right performances bring this to a 2 for me. Alright, well, it looks like he's going to be down for a couple more minutes. Thanks again for watching my reviews here. This has been a really good week. More 4s and more great albums in this that I listened to this week than I have so far this whole year. If you like this video, you like what I'm doing here, as always, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to join in the community here and be notified when I have new reviews and videos coming out, go ahead and hit subscribe. Thanks again, and we will see you later.